Hello, Ray Phoenix here, and this is Otto's Magic Blocks on the PC. I've been wanting to play this highly nostalgic PC game for quite a long time now, but I couldn't play it. You see, I got this game a long time ago on my Dell Dimension 9150 from 2006 that ran Windows XP. It came with Windows XP Media Center Edition, which is a special version of Windows XP. It's like Windows XP Home Edition, but it has Windows Media Center, not Media Player. It comes with Media Player, of course, because everything comes with Media Player. But Media Center is unique. Media Center is what makes it what it is. It was like this cool software that allows you to play DVDs, allows you to play some video files, can view images, it can even play games. It even came with games, and it came with 2 Wild Tangent games, and this was one of them, Otto's Magic Blocks. The game is kind of like a hybrid of Kirby and Q*bert. Kind of is like a mix of Q*bert and Kirby. So he looks like Kirby, he has no arms, and he just jumps around, and he makes the blocks change color just like Q*bert, pretty much. Only I think this is better than Q*bert, mostly because it came later. It was made by Wild Tangent. Wild Tangent are some of the masters at making some of the best PC games imaginable. The only problem is, they're very obnoxious with things becoming abandonware. Their games pretty much never become abandonware. This game came out in 2004, and to this day, it's still not abandonware. It probably never will be abandonware. Or maybe in 95 or so years from now, whenever copyrights expire, maybe it will. But for the time being, that's probably not going to happen in our lifetimes. Sorry to say that. But however, I did find a way to get a download of it from somewhere. Unfortunately, this download of it is very buggy, crashes a lot of the time. Every time I play this game, every game I've ever played so far in the last few months of this has always ended the same way. My computer crashing. You're going to see at the end of this video. We'll see how a typical game of this ends. But nevertheless, this is Otto's Magic Blocks, I said so before, and Media Center was a really big deal at the time, because it was the first time I had a computer that played DVDs. In the early 2000s, I'd always hear myths about, oh, there's these things called computers. We know what computers are, but do you know that there's some that can play DVDs? Really? There's some that can play that new movie format, the DVD? Ooh, this is cool. I wonder if this is real, or maybe this is a myth. Well, I finally put that myth to rest in 2006, when I finally got a computer that could play DVDs. It was a big deal. I'd watch DVDs all the time. I didn't have very many DVDs back in those days. One of the only DVDs I had then was Shrek 2. So almost every day I'd watch Shrek 2 on the computer, because it was just a big, it was a unique experience at the time, a very unique experience, a very big deal, and nowadays, that's nothing nowadays. Now, thanks to the decline of DVDs, now streaming services are everywhere, and things like that. No one really uses DVDs much anymore. They're kind of a dead format, which is kind of a shame, actually. They actually do have a lot of benefits over streaming services. Streaming services are not perfect. Things get deleted from them all the time. Servers could go down. But DVDs? Oh no, that doesn't happen with DVD. Thankfully. So you see, you cleared another stage, and you also get scored based on how many blocks you jump on in a row without jumping onto a block you've already cleared. And this is pretty cool too. This level introduces a button where you can actually hit that button there and actually makes more of the stage appear. And there's enemies everywhere too. The enemies are jumping around. So yeah, I think this is a very nostalgic game for me, actually, and I do really like this game. I wish more people, would know about this game and play this game. I'm trying to build awareness. That's something my channel does a lot of time. I'm trying to build awareness of obscure games you may not have heard of otherwise. But then again, nothing's really obscure these days, thanks to the internet. Everyone knows everything about the internet. Something that's also kind of disturbing about this game too. The sound is a little bit different than I remembered it. What's kind of disturbing about this game is when the sound effect it makes when the items appear, it makes the same sound effect that Best Buy Geek Squad uses. I'm a member of Best Buy's Geek Squad, and I use their services. And when they ping me messages through their services or tech support messages, it has that exact same sound. I find kind of sort of like, oh, is Best Buy messaging me? No, it's Otto's Magic Blocks, not Best Buy messaging you. Speaking of Best Buy, my Alienware laptop, the greatest Alienware laptop, the one I made pretty much all my videos with to date, has died 2 months ago, sadly. Its battery started to fail. It got to a point where it couldn't really charge anymore. I had to get Geek Squad to repair it. Because I've sent that thing into Best Buy's Geek Squad numerous times, and now this time they're not repairing it, and the warranty's almost over. It's gonna die soon. If it dies after my warranty's over, then I'm screwed. But now, because I had it, to take him back before the warranty was over, I got pretty much a large credit on a new computer from Best Buy, so I'm buying a new laptop. I was thinking about buying a Dell or an HP. I'm using an HP loaner right now to make this video and to play this game. I try to avoid the bonus stages. The bonus stages often make my computer crash. Yeah, I don't recommend getting an Alienware at all. They're very buggy, they're very troublesome. They're very, you know, it's like Larry, Curly, and Moe made them. I had to constantly reset the hard drive on that thing several times and reinstall Windows 10 on it several times because of how flawed that damn Alienware is. I'm not actually glad that it's gone. I don't miss it at all. I don't miss it one bit. However, there's one thing I still kind of want, though, a typewriter. I've been having problems with word processors lately. So I'm thinking about getting a typewriter for Christmas. Too bad my birthday was a few weeks ago, so it's too late for me to ask for one for my birthday. I didn't even get anything real for my birthday this year, my birthday date, but I do want a typewriter now, and I probably have to wait till Christmas, which is in 4 months from now, so yeah, it's not that bad. It's not too bad. 4 months is nothing to me these days. Time itself is nothing to me these days. I'm getting to a point where time is meaningless. A few years, a few days, what's the difference? It's all time. What difference does it make to me? Time is nothing, as I keep saying. It seems like, you know, like days go by fast like they're nothing. Worlds keep turning on like they're nothing. That's what everything's like. Did you ever notice how when you were a kid, time seems like it goes on forever, but then when you get older, you find out that years or time is like, you know, nothing? That's what it always feels like. Time goes by really fast. This year of 2021 is by far the fastest year I've ever lived through. Ever. It's almost like it's making up for how crappy of a year 2020 was almost. I was expecting 2021 to be great, but, you know, it's like, what do you expect for this year? So now this level, if you were introduced to the ice blocks here, you can slide around on the ice, and that slug thing does your progress, just to hinder your progress. You can slide on the ice. You can't move at all when you slide on the ice. You have to go in a straight direction. So if an enemy comes up there while you're sliding up on the ice, you're screwed. So yeah, as I keep saying, I do highly recommend this game. I do wish Wild Tangent, you know, make my charges less for this game. I reduce the price or make it abandonware. I don't know if anyone's actually paid the actual intended retail price for this game before. I don't know. It's not even a retail game. You can only buy it from Wild Tangent, and I got it. Oh my god, because it came for free on my Windows XP machines I just mentioned earlier. I still think Windows XP is by far the greatest version of Windows ever conceived by mankind. It had an awesome interface, had awesome sounds, and it came with awesome sound effects and awesome graphics and awesome pretty much everything about it. It was a joy to use, but nowadays computers treat you like you're an idiot. They're so bland and dull, and they keep pointing out obvious things to you. And they keep annoying you with messages. The messages are all obnoxious and annoying. I long for the days Windows XP. I hope Windows XP comes back someday. You know, maybe they'll bring it back, or act like they bring back. I mean, they do make like remakes of things. You know, they bring back gaming systems all the time. They bring back old stuff all the time. Why not bring back Windows XP? If vinyl records can make a comeback, why not Windows XP? It only makes sense. It totally does. I also wish this game could be on a game system, too. Unfortunately, Wild Tangent, I don't think, makes games for game systems. They make games for mobile phones, I think, and tablets, but I don't think they make any games for actual game systems. That was also the case of Pac-Man Adventures in Time. I was also going to make a video of that in the next little bit, too. With Pac-Man Adventures in Time. It's also a game that only came out on PC. It's kind of similar to Ms. Pac-Man's Maze Madness, but it's better. It's like Pac-Man World, but imagine if the entire game was just the mazes. That's all Pac-Man Adventures in Time is, which that's what Pac-Man's supposed to be, so that makes that game complete total Pac-Man bliss. I'd like to see Pac-Man and Otto go against each other, because this game actually does have a lot in common with Pac-Man too. Instead of collecting dots, you're jumping on blocks, or jumping on things. I'm trying to avoid enemies and hazards, things like that. I'm trying to get all of them. I'm getting fruits and cherries and other things just like Pac-Man. So yeah, the same actually does have a lot in common with Pac-Man. But then again, as I mentioned earlier, this game originally came from Q*bert, which Q*bert kind of copied Pac-Man a little bit. That was back in the time where almost every game you could think of at the time was either a clone of Pac-Man or Space Invaders. Pretty much every game back in those days. People weren't as imaginative back then. But again, that's mostly due to the limitations of computers at the time, because computers at the time weren't as good. But I think computers in the past are way better. That Dell Windows XP computer I keep talking about, I still have that computer to this day, and it still works. Sure, it's very slow nowadays, and it's low on memory. There's not much it does, mostly because it's old, but I still often used to back up my own data, my personal data. I used to run old software. It's actually a very useful thing to have, and that's why I still keep it. I'm actually amazed that it still works to this day. You know, if the day before my Alienware died, if you told me that my Alienware was gonna die before that old Windows XP computer, I may have had you admitted to an insane asylum. That's kind of like going back in time to November 21st, 1963, and telling the people there that JFK was gonna die before Herbert Hoover. People would have you locked up in an insane asylum for saying that. But the ironic thing was, that actually came true. Yep, that's what happens. It's proof that the good die young. But then again, my Alienware wasn't exactly good, and the Windows XP computer actually was pretty good. So I guess that kind of invalidates my point a bit, but you still get the general idea. I also have plans for a lot of writing work to do in the next little bit. I haven't been doing much writing lately. I'm still working on that book of mine called The Man-Child. I hope it comes out soon. I haven't done much work on it, so I've been really busy with school lately. And I also conceived another idea for a book recently called Attack on Animation. It's a book that pretty much downright attacks the animation industry, the corporate animation industry, make it sound like it's fraud. So you know about Disney and Nickelodeon and all those channels. They steal ideas from people, or they make creators, give up their greatest assets, their greatest intellectual property, and they get jack all for it. And while companies like Disney or cash cow, they're pretty much, they're like stealing from creatively rich people and taking it all for themselves. It's just like stealing from the poor and giving to the rich, stealing whatever the poor have left and giving to the rich. As these people are like, they're worse than Robin Hood. They're worse than scammers. They're some of the biggest scumbags in the industry. That's the problem with the animation industry. It's way too corporate, I think. There's a lot of articles and stories about that. However, this book I'm also thinking about, it also promotes other great things too. Like, it also promotes the CI Squared animation. The CI Squared Entertainment is a company that was formed by MC Cubes, and it's very much an indie animation firm. He has a lot of shows there. He has his own show called Cubo's World. They also make another show called Linda Morden, which is a lot like Loud House. And they also have Pink Wonder, and they have Bouncy the Ball. They have Supremo Life. They have all sorts of great. They have Cecil and Nathan, which I actually signed on to work to do the voice for Cecil. Hi, take it from the top, Mac. Hi, I'm Cecil. Welcome to my neighborhood. Welcome to my universe where everything is cartoony and fun. Yeah, that's my imitation of Cecil. I was trying to do Daffy Duck, but it ended up turning out more like Sid the Sloth. Hi, I'm Sid the Sloth. You know what my power is? Pull my finger. It's kind of like that. But yeah, I actually think CI Squared is God's gift to animation. It really is a great blessing that we have CI Squared Entertainment. They're way better than Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Disney. They're way better than all those fools that work in the corporate business, where to them they only care about making money. That's all they care about these days. They're all money, this, money, that. CI Squared's a non-for-profit company, pretty much, and I like them for that. They do what they do for the greater good. If any of you CI Squared people are watching this video, I really I appreciate you all. I give you a strong pat on the back, a good kudos for all your work that we do, and I hope that, CI Squared takes off and becomes the next greatest thing in animation. I also promote the other good things I was also speaking of too, it also promotes the book industry as well too. Books have been around for hundreds of years. People have read books, people have written books, there's all kinds of books. They stood the test of time, and to this day, with modern technology, with VHS being dead, and all sorts of other technologies coming and going, books are something that seem to stay with us forever, pretty much. Like books are like hundreds of years old and we still use them. They're still relevant today. It's funny how old stuff can still be relevant today, and that's exactly the case with the books. Also promotes the comic industry too, which comics have been around for a very long time too. They predate animation as well too. So yeah, bottom line, I think books and comics is a much superior field of study to animation. The Marvel comics are way better than the Marvel movies. I think you guys already know. If you follow me, know I talk so much about Marvel, or I think highly of Marvel. And yeah, so I do think that's what I think of the animation industry. It's a big book that pretty much tells what I think of animation. Although still kind of ticked off. I spent 3 years of my life learning animation. I didn't get a job of it. That sucks. I really excelled in writing. The problem is, becoming an animation writer, or any kind of writer of that sort, in this current year, is like becoming a VCR repairman. It's a skill that's not really in demand anymore, which really kind of sucks. It's not in demand. Writing is what gives us the idea. It's about writing. We would have nothing. Everything has to be written first. Everything has to be scripted and written first before you actually put it in perspective. It doesn't matter what it is. This video game was written out somewhere first. It's written and documented first before they actually turn it into a real video game. That's true for just about, again, everything ever. And yet, it's not in demand. You think that'd be in demand now that everything's, the world's exploding with content and things like that? You think there's something that would be in demand? But sadly, it's not, which kind of ticks me off, really. You can tell these people really don't care. They probably paid monkeys to do it instead, because, monkeys seem to be better writers than people, right? They say if you lock a bunch of monkeys in a room with a bunch of typewriters, eventually they'll give you the greatest novel ever. A novel that says, it was the best of times, it was the blurst of times. Yeah, it totally was. That describes everything perfectly. It was the best of times, and it was the blurst of times. Times when you give a monkey a typewriter, you're gonna get some pretty wacky stories like that. Heck, if you give me a typewriter and tell me to make stuff up on the spot, I think I'd probably do the same. I make up my own wacky stories, or I might just make up stuff with, with stuff that's, pulling stuff out of your butt, pretty much, and just putting all the stuff on the paper of a typewriter. So, like I said, I really do think typewriters are pretty cool, actually. And like I said, they've been around for, a long time. So, there's those slugs again, those snail slugs, whatever you call them, those escargoons, whatever you call them, like in Kirby. That's kind of more like Kirby-like stuff in this game. This game is very cool. I'm surprised Nintendo never made anything like this. It seems like the kind of game I could imagine Nintendo making, but no, they didn't. I think Nintendo should make fun little arcade games like this, or little games that don't require a lot of time. Stuff, and I don't mean stuff like Mario Kart. I mean like little arcade-like games like this. They kind of did back in the day with Donkey Kong and Mario Brothers, and even Wrecking Crew too. But nowadays, I don't really see that much from modern Nintendo much anymore. It's kind of a shame. I really like those games. It's like one of my favorite genres of game ever. And so, we're soon going to see how every single game I've ever played of this ends. They all end exactly the same when I play nowadays, and you're about to see how all the magic ends. Yup, that's how it ends. Otto.exe has stopped working. The only way to get out of this screen is to do Control-Alt-Delete. Well, I hope you enjoy this video. This is Ray Phoenix, signing out.